This video is going to address the relevance of the question, would much more help with finances improve your overall well-being? Hi, I'm Dr. Brent Van Hook, Director of Shepherd's Fold Ministries, and the relevance of this question, would much more help with finances improve your overall well-being, relates to an extensive research project that we commissioned in 2019, in which we studied the predictors of well-being for retirement age preachers and missionaries from over 12 denominations. We here at Shepherd's Fold since then have found out that this study correlates well to all believers of all ages who want to have a lifelong kingdom impact, understanding that well being is part of that. Let's take a look at the possible answers and the results of the statements to this question. Would much more help with finances improve your overall well being? Let me take just a moment and talk about what this question is saying. If you had a lot of help, if you had a lot more help with your finances, how much would that improve your overall well being? 17% said it would help a lot, 22% would help. 15% said, not sure. I don't think I gave you that option in the 1 minute quiz. 19% said a little. 27%, not at all. In other words, if you helped me a whole lot, that really wouldn't make it much of a difference for my overall well being. In the study that we conducted, there were several questions at the beginning of the study that were able to determine how well people, each individual, was doing in their overall well being. And so there were these numerical scores of how well people were doing. Then the statisticians took the possible answers to each question and averaged all those, for example, who chose it would help a lot. They averaged their well-being. Now they had a numerical value. What I did to make it a little bit easier for me to see in graphic form is I took those numbers and put them in the traffic light graphic form here. And so the numbers are represented by, there are 5 lines per light, per green, per yellow, per red, 15 levels here that you can see. So as you see that, just in this graphic form, all those who said it would help a lot, we averaged how well they were doing in life. It was not very good. In fact, it was in the red. Stop, hold on. We need to address some issues because things aren't as good as they can be as far as overall well being. How can we serve the Lord and do our very best for Him if there's some major flaws in our overall well being? You see here, those who said it would help averaged about right here on the yield light. Even those who weren't sure were doing okay, okay in the green. If they would help a little bit, then we see that there. If it would not help at all, they were frankly doing as well as they could do in their life. So I can't help but think that if finances are in order, such that I don't need a whole lot of help, don't need a whole lot more help in order for me to come out in a reasonable understanding of how things are for me financially. Things tend to be really good. So let me make a couple statements regarding this and a couple statements that we believe here at Shepherd's Fold Ministries. The first is this, that we all have something to share. Um, if you answer this question in such a way that your rating was down here, if you said a little or not at all, my challenge to you is to reflect on what the patterns were in your life related to your finances, figure out what worked, and then share those. Because this has been an area that has, we'll call it a strength in your life. And if you have something to share, will you email me at brent@shepherdsfoldministries.com? Because we'd like to know what were the ongoing patterns and habits that helped you reach that point, and now we see that it's a strength in your life. Secondly, we all have something to learn, and in particular, I can't help but think, especially about this, those who said it would help a lot, and even those that they would say it would help some. Both in particular, these two answers, if we could find some way of addressing our financial condition, notice that a little bit of help is going to go a long way. Now, we would move Statistics say from a point here of moving from a yellow light into green, a higher level of living, a stronger level of living, with just a little bit of improvement. And here, just a little bit of improvement with some help financially would drop us, statistics say, out of the red category and at least into yellow and then moving toward green. So, because of this large difference, especially here, and these two answers in particular, we want to say that we want to help you with that. I think a fair thing to say for our research project is this project looking at predictors of well-being can say if you could address one issue in your life and you knew that it would make a big difference. In fact, we might call it a disproportionate blessing. If you could take a little bit of time, it might make a huge difference in your overall well-being. If you could do one thing and it would make a big impact, would you be willing to do that? Well, we here at Shepherd's Fold are going to offer you a first step for that. There's a lot of things that can be done when it comes to finances, but a lot of times if we could get a quick win financially and something could go right and it makes a big difference in our finances and all of a sudden we feel a lift in our spirit because we're able to recognize how God is bringing about his blessings and things are coming together in an orderly fashion. We want to help provide that. So I'm going to provide a couple ideas that within a 30-minute period of time you can address some issues and get a quick win under your belt and watch things begin to move toward an area of stronger well-being. The first, I'm going to give you two suggestions. The first is this: the 10 ways God provides chart. Brian Kluth put this together, and if you'd like more explanation on it, there's a teaching video. Now that's about 35 minutes long, but I think that you could just even look through this, and part of his point is this: look, very few people reach their full situation of financial stability only understanding that it comes from your primary source of income. So that if you say, well, according to my income, I'm never going to get there. Well, it's also true that God provides in other ways: extra work or income, unexpected cash, evaluating expenses and decreasing those. That makes a big difference overall. Other people's help or hospitality. Brian is a friend of mine, and he's been over to our house a couple times. We've fed him. He stayed at our house as a guest in our house. He says that he goes back that night and in his gratitude journals that I got a free meal provided by the Van Hooks. Lord, you provided that for me, and starting to chart how the ways that God provides in more than just our primary income. So I'd like for you to take a look at the 10 ways God provides. And if it's self explanatory, I'd like for you to consider one or two, just one way that you could give attention to that, see what you could do to declutter and see what you have. Um, and find one. And if you'd like some teaching, that's available for you. The second step is the best practices chart. This again is provided by Brian Kluth, a best-selling author regarding stewardship and generosity and a biblical understanding of that. Here is just the top of the chart of this 3-page 33 best practices. You see that there are 33 best practices and there are 180 online links for that. Now the assessment and the calendar, those are really good tools as well. But to get a quick win, if I would suggest looking through the 33 best practices and pick one. Here we have under the category of financial goals, here are just 3 that are under that category: biblically based financial training, develop a workable written budget. That might be perhaps a very, very important one. And here, see, he has ways that you could do that, easy links to help you get that going. Financial software that helps monitor your income and expenses. Here's some links to that. That category goes on, and there are several other best practices. Now, there are several other categories kind of like financial goals here in this situation. And he lists, for example, lifetime expenditures, things like an affordable place to live. How do you know how much you can afford? How do you know where you could go? Are there places you could find help with that? Finding ways to save money and get the best deals possible. And then there are other categories, kind of like financial goals: debt and borrowing, systematically paying off unpaid bills and avoiding future debt, and other topics that would fit under that. Saving, insurance, investing, and retiring. That's another overall category, and things under that category are things like a $1,000 emergency savings, affordable health insurance, and other ways. So I would encourage you to just get a quick win under your belt by looking at the 33 best practices and just picking one, and then clicking one of the links that are there, and then get a quick win, something that would make a big difference in the feeling of the direction of your overall financial health. And then there are many ways that you could go from there to live out a biblically proven plan of financial management and stewardship. In all of this, we are praying that God will help us move to a place of strong well being, that we may in turn serve Him with gladness of heart and allow Him through us to make a difference in His kingdom.